Welcome to a Park Players audio broadcast. I'm your host, Ashling Barabe, president of the Park Players, and I am proud to present our recording of one of the most beloved Christmas stories ever created, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Originally recorded live on November 23, 2018, the play was adapted from Dickens' original novella and written specifically for the Park Players. This broadcast is shared under Creative Commons licensing, no derivatives. Any use of this recording in whole or in part without the express written permission of the author and Park Players is strictly forbidden. While we've worked hard to improve the sound quality of the stage performance, some segments of the broadcast may have background noise due to the acoustics of the venue. Nevertheless, we are happy to share this with you this holiday season. And now, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone Scrooge, squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel ever struck out generous fire. Secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. A frosty rime was on his head, and on his eyebrows, and his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature, always about with him, iced his office in the dog days, and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas.
External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm him, no wintry weather chill him. No wind that blew was bitterer than he. No falling snow more intent upon its purpose. No pelting rain less open to entreaty. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain and sleet, and snow, and hail could boast of the advantage over him in one respect only. They often came down handsomely. Scrooge never did.
No one ever stopped him in the street to say with gladsome looks, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? When will you come to see me?"
No. No beggars implored him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him what it was o'clock. No man or woman ever in all his life asked the way to such and such a place. Scrooge.
Once upon a time, of all the good old days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear the people in the court outside go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already. It had not been light all day, and candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring offices, like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. The door to Scrooge's counting house was open.
Merry Christmas, Uncle!
Humbug!
Christmas? A humbug? Uncle, you don't mean that, I'm sure.
I do. What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
Come now. What right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough.
Bah! Humbug!
Don't be cross, Uncle.
What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas out upon Merry Christmas. What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer. A time for balancing your books and finding every item in them through around dozens of months set dead against you. If I could work my will, every idiot that goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips would be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should.
Uncle!
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it! Uncle, you don't keep it!
Then let me leave it alone then. Much good may it do you. Much good it has ever done you.
There are many things from which I might have derived good, but I have not profited. I dare say Christmas among the rest. I'm sure I've always thought of Christmas time when it's come round, apart from the veneration due to its sacred name and origin, if anything belonging to it can be considered apart from it, as a good time. A kind, charitable, forgiving, pleasant time. The only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut up hearts freely and to treat those below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave. Not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though it is now but a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, well, I believe it has done me good and will do me good. And I say, God bless it!
I hear another sound from you, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite the powerful speaker, sir. I wonder you don't go into Parliament.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow. But why? Why?
Why did you get married?
Because I fell in love.
Ah, because you fell in love. Good afternoon.
Uncle, I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why cannot we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We've never had any quarrel to which I've been a party. But well, I have made the trial and homage to Christmas, and well, I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last, so Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon.
And the very best of the season to you and your family, Bob.
And to you, sir, and to you.
There's another fellow, my clerk, 15 shillings a week, and a wife and family, talking about a Merry Christmas. I'll retire to Bedlam.
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge? Or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead these last 7 years. He died 7 years ago this very night.
Oh, we have no doubt that his liberality is well represented by his surviving partner. At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provision for the poor and the destitute, who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessaries. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts.
Are there no prisons?
Plenty of prisons.
And the union workhouses, are they still in operation?
They are still, though I wish I could say they were not.
And the treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor then?
Both very busy, sir.
Ah, I was afraid by what you said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course. I'm very glad to hear it.
Under the impression that they scarcely provide Christian cheer of mind or body to the multitude, some of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time, unlike all the others, when need is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to be anonymous.
I wish to be left alone. You asked me what I wish for, and that is my answer. I don't make merry myself. And I can't afford to make idle people merry. I support the establishments that I have mentioned. They cost enough, and those who are badly off must go there.
But many can't go there, and many would rather die.
If they would rather die, they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. It is not my business. It is enough for a man to understand his own business and not to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon.
God bless ye, merry gentlemen, and happy goodness pray!
You'll want all day tomorrow, I suppose?
If quite convenient, sir.
It is not convenient, and it is not fair. If I was to stop half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used. Yet, you don't think me ill-used when I pay a full day's wages for no work.
'Tis but once a year, sir.
Ah, poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose you must have the whole day. Be here all the earlier the next morning.
I will, sir, I will. Merry Good night, sir.
Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, and after having read all the newspapers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's books, went home to bed. He lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner. Scrooge had not bestowed one thought on Marley since the last mention of his 7 years dead partner that afternoon.
Humbug! It's humbug still. I won't believe it. How now? What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Asked me who I was.
Who were you then? You're particular for a shade?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Can you sit down?
I can.
Do it then.
You don't believe in me?
I don't.
What evidence would you have of my reality beyond that of your senses?
I don't know.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There's more of gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are. You see this toothpick?
I do.
You're not looking at it.
I see it, notwithstanding.
Well, I have but to swallow this, and for the rest of my days be persecuted by a legion of goblins, all of my own creation. It's humbug, I tell you! Humbug! Mercy! Dreadful apparition, why do you trouble me?
Do you believe in me or not?
I do, I will, I must. But why do spirits walk the earth, and why do they come to me?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him should travel amongst his fellow men, and travel far and wide. And if that spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so in death. It is doomed to wander the world. Oh, woe is me, and witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth and turned to happiness. Ah! I wear the chains I forged in life. I made them link by link and yard by yard. I girded them of my own free will, and of my own free will I wore them. Is its pattern strange to you? Or would you know the length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It was as full, as heavy, and as long as this 7 Christmas Eves ago. You have labored on it since. It is a ponderous chain!
Jacob Marley, tell me more. Speak comfort to me, Jacob.
I have none to give, Ebenezer. A very little more time is all that is permitted to me. I cannot rest. I cannot stay. I cannot linger anywhere. My soul never walked beyond our counting house. Mark me, in life, my soul never roved beyond our money-changing hole. And weary journeys lie before me.
But you were always a good man of business, Jacob.
Business! Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. The dealings of my daily trade were but a drop in the comprehensive oceans of business. At this time of the rolling year, I suffer most. Why did I walk through crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down and never raise them to that blessed star which led the wise men to a poor abode? Were there no poor homes to which its light could have conducted me? Hear me! My time is nearly done.
I will. But don't be hard upon me. Don't be flowery, Jacob, pray.
That is no light part of my penance, Ebenezer. But I am here tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance of escaping my fate, a chance of escaping my procuring, Ebenezer.
You were always a good friend, thank you.
You will be visited by 3 spirits.
Huh, is that the chance and hope you mentioned, Jacob?
It is.
I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow, when the bell tolls 1.
Couldn't I have them all at once and have it over, Jacob?
Expect the second on the next night, at the same hour. And the third, upon the next night, when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate. Now, look to see me no more. And look, that for your own sake, you remember what has passed between us.
Why? It isn't possible that I could have slept through a whole day and far into the next night. It isn't possible that something has happened to the sun and this is 12 at noon. Was it a dream or not? 1:15. Half past. Quarter to it. The hour itself, and nothing else. Ah! You are the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
What business brings you here?
Why, your welfare.
Oh, I am much obliged, but would not a night of unbroken rest have been more conducive to that end?
Your reclamation, then. Take heed. Rise and walk with me.
Thank you. But I am mortal and liable to fall.
Bear but a touch of my hand, and you'll be upheld in more than this.
As the words were spoken, they passed through the wall and stood upon an open country road, with fields on either hand. The city had completely vanished. The darkness and the mist had vanished with it, for it was a cold, crisp winter's day, with snow upon the ground.
Good heaven. I was bred in this place. I was a boy here.
Why, your lip is trembling. And what is that upon your cheek?
Just a pimple. Lead me where you will.
You recollect the way?
Remember that I could walk it blindfold.
Strange, then, to have forgotten it for so many years. Let us go on.
They walked along the road, Scrooge recognizing every gate, every post, every tree, until a little market town appeared in the distance. Some shaggy ponies now were seen trotting towards them with boys upon their backs. And all these boys were excited and shouted to each other until the fields were filled with so much merry music that the crisp air laughed to hear it. Scrooge attempted to go back, as if afraid to face the boy, but the ghost wasn't fooled. It wasn't fear, but familiarity from which Scrooge attempted to retreat.
These are but shadows of the past. They have no consciousness of us.
The jocund travelers came on, and as they came, Scrooge knew and named them, every one.
Rupert! Thomas! Stephen! Oh my goodness.
Why was he rejoiced
Edgar!
beyond all bounds to see them?
Edward.
Why did his whole eye glisten to see them? Why did his heart leap up when he heard them give Merry Christmas to each other when they parted at the crossroads and the byways for their several homes? What was Merry Christmas to Scrooge? Out upon Merry Christmas! What good had it ever done to him?
Poor boy.
Poor boy.
I wish, but it's too late now.
What's the matter?
Nothing. There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door last night. I should like to have given him something, that's all.
Let us see another Christmas.
Scrooge finds himself looking at a lonely boy himself, having been banished to a boarding school, friendless, except for his little sister.
Dear brother, I have come to bring you home, dear brother, to bring you home.
Home, little fan?
Yes, home for good and all, home for ever and ever. Father is so much kinder than he used to be that home is like heaven. He spoke so gently to me that one dear night when I was going to bed that I wasn't afraid to ask him once more if you might come home, and he said yes, you should, and sent me in a coach to bring you. And you are to be a man and are never to come back here. But first, we are to be together all the Christmas long and have the merriest time in all the world.
You are quite a woman, little fan.
Always a delicate creature, whom a breath might have withered. But she had a large heart.
So she had. Your right spirit, I'll not gainsay it, God forbid.
She died a woman and had, as I think, children.
One child.
True, your nephew.
Yes.
And did you not promise?
I did not promise.
No, you didn't. But it was her wish. Her only child, your only relative.
She died.
Do you know this place?
Know it? Was I apprenticed here? Why, it's old Fezziwig! Bless his heart, it's Fezziwig alive again!
Oh, there, Benito, Dick!
Dick Wilkins, to be sure. There he is! Dick, he was very much attached to me, was Dick. Poor Dick, dear.
Oh, my boys, no more work tonight. It's Christmas Eve. Dick, Christmas Eve. Ebenezer, Christmas Eve. Let's have those shutters up before a man could see Jack Robinson. Let's clear the space here. Come on, lads, let's move all this. Cheerio, Dick. Cheerio, Ebenezer.
There was nothing they wouldn't have cleared away. Every movable was packed off, the floor was swept in water, the lamps were trimmed, fuel was heaped upon the fire, and the warehouse was as snug and dry and bright a ballroom as you would desire to see upon a winter's night. In came a fiddler with a music book. In came Mrs. Fezziwig, one fat, substantial smile. In came all the young men and women employed in the business. One after another, some shyly, some boldly, some gracefully, some awkwardly. Away they all went, dancing down the middle and up again, round and round in various stages of affectionate grouping. And then old Fezziwig, clapping his hand to stop the dance, cried out, "Well done!" There were more dances, and there was cake and a great piece of cold roast, and there were mince pies and plenty of beer. And then old Fezziwig stood out to dance with Mrs. Fezziwig. And old Fezziwig would have been a match for the young dancers, and so would Mrs. Fezziwig. As to her, she was worthy to be his partner in every sense of the term. When the clock struck 11, this domestic ball broke up. Mr. and Mrs. Fezziwig took their stations, one on either side of the door, and shaking hands with every person individually as he or she went out, wished him or her a Merry Christmas.
Small thing to make these silly folks so full of gratitude.
Small?
Why is it not? He's only spent a few pounds of your mortal money, 3 or 4 perhaps. Is that so great a thing to be so full of gratitude?
It isn't that. It isn't that, Spirit. He has the power to render us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or burdensome, a pleasure or a toil. Say that his power lies in words and looks, in things so small and insignificant that it is impossible to add and count them up. What then? The happiness he gives is quite as quite as great as if it cost a fortune.
What's the matter?
Nothing particular.
Oh, something, I think.
No, I should like to be able to have a word or two to my clerk just now, that's all.
My time grows short. Quick.
We now see a young man, a man in the prime of his life. His face had begun to wear the signs of care and avarice. There was an eager, greedy, restless motion in the eye, which showed the passion that had taken root, and where the shadow of the growing tree would fall. He was not alone, but sat by the side of a fair young girl in a mourning dress, in whose eyes there were tears, which sparkled in the light that shone out of the ghost of Christmas past.
It matters little to you, very little. Another idol has displaced me, and if it can cheer and comfort you in time to come, as I would have tried to do, then I have no just cause to grieve.
What idol has displaced you?
A golden one.
Oh, this is the even-handed dealing of the world. There is nothing on which it is so hard as poverty, and there is nothing it professes to condemn with such severity as the pursuit of wealth.
You fear the world too much. All your other hopes have merged into the hope of being beyond the chance of its sordid reproach. I have seen your nobler aspirations fall off one by one until the master passion, gain, engrosses you. Have I not?
What then? Even if I have grown so much wiser, what then? I am not changed towards you. Am I?
Our contract is an old one. It was made when we were both poor and content to be so, until in good time we could improve our worldly fortune by our patient industry. You are changed. When it was made, you were another man.
It was a boy.
Even your own feeling tells you you are not what you are. I am. what promised happiness when we were of one heart is fraught with misery now that we are two. How often and how keenly I have thought of this, I'll not say. It's enough that I have thought of it and can release you.
Have I ever sought release?
In words? No, never.
What then?
In a changed nature, in an altered spirit, another atmosphere of life. Another hope is its great end. And everything that made my love of any worth or value in your sight. Tell me, if this had never been between us, would you seek me out and try to win me now? No.
You think not?
I would gladly think otherwise if I could, heaven knows. When I've learned a truth like this, I know how strong and irresistible it must be. But if you were free today, tomorrow, yesterday, can even I believe you would choose a dowerless girl? You who in your very confidence with her weigh everything by gain. Or in choosing her, if for a moment you were false enough to your one guiding principle to do so, do I not know that your repentance and regret would surely follow? I do, and I release you. With a full heart, for the love of him you once were. You may have pain in this. The memory of what is past half makes me hope you will. But a very, very brief time, and you will dismiss the recollection of it gladly. As an unprofitable dream from which it happened well you awoke. May you be happy in the life you have chosen.
Spirit, show me no more. Conduct me home. Why do you like to torture me?
One shadow more.
No more! No more! I don't wish to see it. Show me no more!
They were in another scene and place. A room not very large or handsome, but full of comfort. Near to the winter fire was a beautiful woman, so like that last, only older, that Scrooge knew it was the same. She was looking out a window, and where Scrooge was, he could also see the commotion. There were more children there than Scrooge, in his agitated state of mind, could count. And every child was conducting itself like 40. The consequences were uproarious beyond belief, but no one seemed to care. On the contrary, the mother laughed heartily and enjoyed it very much. But now a commotion at the door was heard, and such a rush immediately ensued that she, with laughing face, was borne towards it, just in time to greet the father, laden with Christmas toys and presents.
Well, I saw an old friend of yours today.
Oh, who was it?
Yes.
How can I? Oh, don't I know? Ebenezer Scrooge?
Mr. Scrooge it was. I passed his office window, and as it was not shut up and had a candle inside, I could scarcely help seeing him. His partner lies upon the point of death, I hear, and there he sat, alone. Quite alone in the world, I do believe.
Spirit, remove me from this place.
These are but shadows of the past. That they are what they are, do not blame me.
Remove me, I cannot bear it. Take me back. Haunt me no longer.
Awaking in the middle of a prodigiously tough snore, and sitting up in bed to gather his thoughts together, Scrooge had no occasion to be told that the bell was once again upon the stroke of 1. He felt that he was restored to consciousness in the right nick of time, for the especial purpose of holding a conference with the second messenger dispatched to him through Jacob Marley's intervention. But finding that he turned uncomfortably cold when he began to wonder which of his curtains this new spectre would draw back, he put them every one aside with his own hands, and lying down again, established a sharp look all around the bed. For he wished to challenge the spirit on the moment of his appearance, did not wish to be taken by surprise and made nervous. Now, when the bell struck one, and no shape appeared, he was taken with a violent fit of trembling. A blaze of ruddy light, which streamed upon the bed when the clock proclaimed the hour, was more alarming than a dozen ghosts, for he was powerless to know what it meant. At last, however, he began to think that the secret of this ghostly light might be in the adjoining room, from whence, upon further tracing it, it seemed to shine. This idea taking full possession of his mind, he got up softly and shuffled in his slippers to the door.
Enter! Come in, and know me better, Mr. Scrooge. I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me. I've never seen the likes of me before.
Never.
I've never walked forth with the younger members of my family. Meaning, for I'm very young. May other brothers born these later years?
I don't know that I'm afraid I have not. Have you had many brothers and sisters?
More than 1,800!
Tremendous family to provide for. Spirit, conduct me where you will. I went forth last night on compulsion, and I learned a lesson which is working now. Tonight, if you have aught to teach me, let me profit by it.
Touch my robe.
Mama, I smelled the goose outside the baker's.
But what has ever got your precious father? And your brother Tiny Tim? And Martha? She wasn't as late last Christmas Day by half an hour.
Oh, there's Martha coming. Oh, Martha, there was such a goose.
Why, bless your heart alive, my dear. How late you are.
We had a great deal of work to finish up last night and clear away this morning, Mother.
Well, never mind now that you've come. Sit down by the fire, my dear, and have a warm.
No, there's Father coming. Hide, Martha. Hide.
What? Where is our Martha?
Oh, too much work at the mill, I'm afraid. She's not coming.
Not coming? Not coming upon Christmas Day?
Oh, Father.
Oh,
The look of disappointment, I couldn't hide any longer.
it wouldn't be Christmas without my Martha.
And how did little Tim behave?
As good as gold and better. Somehow he gets so thoughtful sitting by himself so much, and he thinks the strangest things you've ever heard. He told me coming home that he had hoped that people had seen him in the church because he is a cripple, and he thought it might be pleasant for them to remember on Christmas Day who made lame beggars walk and blind men see. I do believe he's getting strong and hearty, our little Tim.
His active little crutch was heard upon the floor, and back came Tiny Tim before another word was spoken, escorted by his sister to his stool. And while Bob, turning up his cuffs as if, poor fellow, they were capable of being made more shabby, compounded some hot mixture in a jug with gin and lemons, stirred it round and round, and placed it on the hob to simmer. Master Peter went to fetch the goose, which he soon returned as high for such a bustle ensued that you might have thought a goose the rarest of all birds. And in truth, it was something very much like it in that house. Mrs. Cratchit made the gravy, hissing hot. Master Peter mashed the potatoes with incredible vigor. Miss Martha sweetened the applesauce and dusted the hot plates. At last, the dishes were set on, and grace was said. It was succeeded by a breathless pause, as Mrs. Cratchit, looking slowly all along the carving knife, prepared to plunge it into the breast. But when she did, and when the long-expected gush of stuffing issued forth, One murmur of delight arose all around the board, and even Tiny Tim feebly cried out, "Hurrah!"
There never has been such a goose. I don't believe there's ever been such a goose cooked.
Well, now we'll get the pudding.
Oh, a wonderful pudding. I do believe this is your greatest success since our marriage.
Well, I must confess that's a weight off my mind. I had my doubts about the quantity of flour.
A rather meager pudding?
Meager? What evidence do you have for this observation? You're a man of fact, Mr. Scrooge, are you not?
I am.
And do you see these children making the same observations?
No, but...
Do you see on their faces any evidence of want or neglect in this pudding size? Are you saying this thing, so slight and insignificant, cannot add to happiness?
Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us.
God bless us.
God bless us. God bless us. God bless us, everyone.
Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner, in a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die.
No, good Spirit, say he will be spared.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, none of my race will find him there. What then? If he be like to die, he better do it, and decrease the surplus population. Man, if man you be at heart, not adamant, forbear thy wicked cant, until you've discovered what the surplus is and where it is. Will you decide what man shall live? What man shall die? It might be that in the sight of heaven, you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions like this poor man's child. Oh gosh! And to hear the insect on the leaf pronouncing on as much to life among his hungry brothers in the dust.
Mr. Scrooge, I give you Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
Founder of the feast? Ha! I wish I had him here. I give him a piece of my mind to feast upon. I hope he have a good appetite for it.
My dear, the children, Christmas Day.
Well, it should be Christmas Day, I'm sure, on which one drinks the health of such an odious, stingy, hard, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. Well, he is, Robert. No one knows better than you, poor fellow.
My dear, Christmas Day.
Oh, very well. I'll drink his health for your sake in the days, not for his. Long life to him, and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and he'll be very merry and very happy, I've no doubt.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
I have a situation in my eye, old Master Peter, that would bring in, if obtained, a full 5 and 6 weekly.
Ooh. At the Milners, we work the whole day and half the night. Very fine and tiring work indeed.
And I wish to lie in bed tomorrow for a good long rest.
Tomorrow being a holiday. I saw a countess on a lord some days ago. The lord was much as tall as the eater.
They were not a handsome family. They were not well dressed. Their shoes were far from being waterproof, and their clothes were scanty. But they were happy, grateful, pleased with one another, and contented with the time. And when they faded, and looked happier still in the bright sprinklings of the spirit's torch at parting, Scrooge had his eye upon them, and especially on Tiny Tim, until the last.
He said Christmas was a humbug, as I live. He believed it too.
More shame on him, Fred.
He's a comical old fellow, that's the truth. And not as pleasant as he might be. However, his offences carry their own punishment, and I have nothing to say against him.
Sure, he's very rich. At least you always tell me so.
What of that, my dear? His wealth is of no use to him. You don't do any good with it. You don't make himself more comfortable with it. He hasn't the satisfaction of thinking he's ever going to benefit us with it.
I have no patience for him.
Oh, I have. I'm sorry for him. I couldn't be angry with him if I tried. Who suffers by his ill whims? Himself, always. Here he takes it into his head to dislike us, and you won't come and dine with us. So what's the consequence? Well, you don't miss out on much of a dinner.
Indeed. Think he misses a very good dinner.
Well, I'm very glad to hear it, because I haven't great faith in these young housekeepers. What do you say, Topper?
Well, I, a bachelor, am a wretched outcast who should have nothing to say on the matter.
Do go on, Fred. He never finishes what he begins to say. He's such a ridiculous fellow.
I was only going to say that the consequences of his taking a dislike to us and not making merry with us is, as I think it, that he loses on some pleasant moments, which could do him no harm. I'm sure he loses pleasanter companions than he can find in his own thoughts, either in his mouldy old office or his dusty chambers. I mean to give him the same chance every year, whether he likes it or not. For I pity him. He may rail at Christmas till he dies, but he can't help thinking better of it. I defy him. If he finds me going there year after year saying, "Uncle Scrooge, how are you?" If it only puts him in the vein to leave his poor clerk £50, well, that's something. And I think I shook him yesterday. Shall we play another?
Yeah. May I stay until the end? This seems such fun.
I am pleased at your pleasure, but alas, it cannot be done. My time is short on this earth.
This is a game called Yes or No.
Here's a new game, 1/2 hour spirit, only one.
I'm thinking of something that you must guess by asking me questions that the answer can only be yes or no.
Let me ask the first question. Is it an animal?
Yes.
A live animal?
Yes.
Is it an agreeable animal?
Is it a savage animal?
Yes.
Does this animal growl and grunt?
Yes.
Is it a pig?
No.
Does this animal talk?
Yes.
A parrot?
No.
Does it walk the streets of London?
Yes.
Is it a dog?
Nope.
A cat?
Nope.
A horse or an ass?
No and no.
A horse's ass.
Of that I can't be entirely certain.
I've got it! I know what it is!
What is it?
It's your Uncle Scrooge!
Oh, the champion! He has given us plenty of merriment, and I think you would be ungrateful not to drink his health. Here is a glass of mulled wine, ready at our hand at the moment. And I say, Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge!
A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to the old man, whatever he is. He may not have taken it from me, but may he have it nevertheless. Uncle Scrooge!
Uncle Scrooge!
Shall we?
Our spirits' lives so short.
My life on this globe is very brief. It ends tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight, at midnight. Hark! The time is drawing near!
Forgive me, if I'm not just justified in what I ask, but there is something strange and not belonging to yourself protruding from your skirts. Is it a foot or a claw?
It might be a claw, for the flesh there is upon it. Look here. Look down here.
Oh!
Look!
Oh! Spirit, are they yours?
They are man's, and they cling to me, appealing from their fathers. This boy is ignorance, this girl is want. Beware them both in all of their degree. But most of all, beware this boy, for on his brow I see that is written which is doom. Unless the writing be erased, deny it, slander those who tell it ye, admit your factious purposes and make it worse, and bide the end.
Have they no refuge or resource?
Are there no prisons?
Oh.
Are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
I am in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come. You are about to show me the shadows of things that have not yet happened but will happen in the time before us. Is that so? Ghost of the future, I fear you more than any other spectre I have seen, but as I know your purpose is to do me good, and as I hope to live to be another man from what I was, I am prepared to bear your company and do it with a thankful heart. Will you not speak to me? Lead on. Lead on, the night is waning fast, and it is precious time to me. Lead on, spirit.
How are you? How are you? Well, old Scratch finally got his way at last.
So I've heard. Cold, isn't it?
Oh, seasonable for Christmas. You're not a skater, I suppose.
No. Good morning. Something else to think on. Besides, all I know is he's dead.
Well, when did he die?
Last night, I believe.
Why, what was the matter with him? I thought he would never die.
God knows.
What did he do with his money?
Left it to one of his companies, perhaps.
All I know is that he hasn't left it to me. Well, it's likely to be a very cheap funeral. On my life, I've known no one who would want to go to it. Perhaps we form a party and volunteer.
I don't mind going to one if a lunch is provided.
But if I do make one,
I must be fed.
Well, I am the most disinterested among you, for I never wear black gloves and I never eat lunch. But I'll offer to go if anyone else will. I come to think of it, I'm not entirely sure I wasn't his most particular friend, for we always stopped and spoke whenever we met. Bye. Bye.
I know these men. I know them all. They are men of business, very wealthy, and very important. Important to me, and I to them from a business point of view, yet their conversation was so unimportant. That was the meeting, the conversation, and the parting. I know this has some latent moral for my own improvement, but what? Spirit, why should I know this? And where am I? That's my place of business over there. Another man stands in my place.
Scrooge had never penetrated this obscure part of town before, although he recognized its situation and its bad repute. The ways were foul and narrow, the shops and houses wretched, the people half-naked, drunken, slipshod, and ugly. Alleys and archways, like so many cesspools, disgorged their offences of smell and dirt and life upon the straggling streets, and the whole quarter reeked with crime, with filth and misery. Far in this den of infamous resort there was a low-browed, beetling shop below a penthouse roof, where iron, old rags, bottles, bones, and greasy offal were bought. Upon the floor within were piled up heaps of rusty keys, nails, chains, hinges, files, scales, weights, and refuse iron of all kinds. Secrets that few would like to scrutinize were bred and hidden in mountains of unseemly rags, masses of corrupted fat, and sepulchres of bones. Sitting in among the wares he dealt in, by a charcoal stove made of old bricks, was a gray-haired rascal nearly 70 years of age, who had screened himself from the cold air without by a frowsy curtaining of miscellaneous tatters, hung upon a line, and smoked his pipe in all the luxury of calm retirement. Scrooge and the Phantom came into the presence of this man just as a woman with a heavy bundle slunk into the shop. But she had scarcely entered when another woman, similarly laden, came in too, and she was closely followed by a man in faded black, who was no less startled by the sight of them than they had been upon recognition of each other. After a short period of blank astonishment, in which the old man with the pipe had joined them, they all three burst into a laugh.
Let the charwoman alone to be the first. Let the laundress alone to be the second, and let the undertaker's man alone to be the third. Look here, old Joe. Here's a chance. We haven't all three met here without meaning it.
You couldn't have met in a better place. Come into my parlor. You were made free of it long ago, and the others aren't strangers too. Oh, there's no such thing as old bones in this place as mine. Come on into my parlor. We're all suitable to our calling. We're well matched.
What odds, then? What odds, Mrs. Dilber? Every person has the right to take care of himself. He always did.
Indeed, no man more so.
Well, then don't sit there staring as if you was afraid, woman. Who's the wiser? We're not going to pick holes in each other's coats, I suppose.
Indeed, we should hope not.
Well, then, that's enough. Who's the worse for a loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose.
No, indeed.
If he wanted to keep him after he was dead, wicked old screw, why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have had somebody to look after him when he was struck with death instead of lying there gasping out his last alone by himself.
It's the truest word I ever spoke. It's a judgment I am.
I wish it was a little heavier judgment, and it should have been. You may depend upon it, if I could lay my hands on anything else. Open the bundle, Joe. Let me know the value of it. Speak up plain. I'm not afraid to be the first, nor afraid to let them see it. It's no secret we were helping ourselves before we came here today, I believe. It's no sin. Open the bundle, Joe.
No, you have not to. I will go first, for I have the fewest things to examine.
That's your account, and I wouldn't give you not a sixpence if I was boiled for not doing it. Who's next?
That's me, I reckon.
Now I always give too much to the ladies. It's a weakness of mine. It's going to ruin me. I'm giving you that, and if you ask me for another penny and make it an open question, I'll repent on being so liberal and dock off half a crown.
Now undo my bundle, Joe.
What are these? Bed curtains?
Bed curtains.
You mean you took them down, brains and all, with him lying there?
Yes, I do. Why not?
You were born to make a fortune, woman, and you're certainly going to do so.
Well, I suddenly shan't hold my hand when I can get anything in it by reaching out for the sake of such a man as he was, I promise you. Don't drop that oil upon the blankets now.
His blankets?
Who else's do you think? He's unlikely to take cold without them, I dare say.
Oh, hope he didn't die of anything catchy.
Don't you be afraid of that. I'm not so fond of his company that I'd loiter about for such things if he did. You may look through that shirt until your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor a threadbare place. It's the best he had, and a fine one, too. I'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me.
What do you mean, wasting of it?
Well, putting it on him to be buried in, to be sure. Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off him again. If calico isn't good enough for such a purpose, it isn't good enough for anybody. It's quite as becoming to the body. You can't look uglier in it than he did with that one. Well then, that's the end of it. He frightened everyone when he was alive, to profit us when he was dead.
Spirit, I see. The case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life tends that way.
The scene had changed. Scrooge found himself staring at a bed on which a ragged sheet hid something that Scrooge knew was awful. The phantom pointed directly at the head of that thing, and Scrooge knew that he was being ordered to remove the sheet and reveal what was beneath.
Merciful heaven, what is this? Spirit, this is a fearful place. In leaving it, I shall not leave its lesson, trust me. Spirit, I understand you, and I would do it if I could. But I have not the power. I have not the power. Is this your answer to me, Spirit? Is there not anyone in this town who feels sorrow caused by death? Show this person to me, I beseech you. Let me see some tenderness connected with such tragedy. Oh, that dark chamber, which I pray we are leaving now, will be forever present to me.
And he took a child and set him in the midst of them.
Oh, it's the color. It hurts my eyes. Oh, they're better now. The candlelight makes them weak, and I wouldn't show your father weak eyes for the world when he comes home. It must be near his time.
Past it, rather. But I think he's walked a little slower than he used these last few evenings, Mother.
I have known him walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder very fast indeed.
So have I, often.
So have I. But he was so very light to carry, and his father loved him so, it was no trouble. Oh, there's your father at the door.
Well, I should say how fortunate I am to behold a family such as this indeed. Look at all you've done with so much speed and industry. You'll be long done before Sunday, I should say.
Sunday? You went today then, Robert?
Yes, my dear, I wish you could have gone. It would have done you good to see how green a place it is. But you will see it often. I promised him that I would walk there on a Sunday. I had the pleasure of meeting dear Fred, Mr. Scrooge's nephew. We had only met once before, but he looked upon me with great concern and noticed that I looked a little down, upon which, for he is the pleasantest speaking gentleman you have ever met, I told him, I am heartfully sorry for it, Mr. Cratchit, he said, and heartfully sorry for your good wife. By and by, how we knew, I don't know.
Knew what, dear?
Why, that you're a good wife.
Everybody knows that.
Very well observed, my boy. I hope they do. Heartily sorry, he said, for your good wife. If I could be of service in any way at all, he said, handing me his card. This is where I live. Pray, come to me. It isn't so much for the sake of anything that he could do for us, so much as for his kind ways, that this was quite delightful. It really seemed as though he had known our little Tim, and he felt with us.
I'm sure he's a good soul.
You'd be sure, my dear, if you saw and spoke with him. Mark my words. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he got Peter a better situation.
You hear that, Peter?
And then Peter will be keeping company with someone and setting up for himself.
Get along with you.
It's just as likely as not one of these days, though there's plenty of time for that, my dear. But however and whenever we all part from one another, I know that we shall none of us forget our poor Tiny Tim, shall we? Or this first parting that we've had among us.
No, Robert.
And I know, my dears, that when we recollect how patient and mild he was, even though he was a little child. We shall not quarrel easily amongst ourselves and forget our poor Tiny Tim and Dad.
No,
Never.
never.
I am very happy. I am very happy.
Mrs. Cratchit kissed him, his daughters kissed him, the young Cratchits kissed him, and Peter and himself shook hands. Spirit of Tiny Tim, thy childish essence was from God.
Spectre, something informs me that our parting moment is at hand. I know it, but I know not how. Who was that man that we saw lying dead? This court is where my place of occupation is and has been for a length of time. I see the house. Let me behold what I shall be in the days to come. The house is yonder. Why do you point away? Before I draw near to that stone to which you point, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of the things that will be? Or are they the shadows of the things that may be only? Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends to which, if persevered in, they will lead. But if those courses be departed from, the ends will change. Say it is thus with what you show me. Am I that man that lay upon the bed? No. Spirit, me? I am not the man I was. I am not the man I would have been but for this intercourse. Why show me this if I am past all hope? Spirit, your nature intercedes for me and pities me. Assure me that I may yet change these shadows you have shown me by an altered life. I will honor Christmas in my heart and keep it through the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I shall not leave the lessons that they teach. Tell me I may yet sponge away the writing on that stone.
Scrooge, who thought he was clutching the skirts of the last spirit, discovers he is in his bedroom, clutching his own bed skirts.
In the future, the spirits of all three shall strive within me. Jacob Marley, heaven and the Christmas time be praised for this. I say it on my knees. On my knees, Jacob. They are not torn down. They are not torn down, rings and all. They are here. They are here. I am here. The shadows of the things that would have been may be dispelled. They will be. I know they will. There's the door by which the ghost of Jacob Marley entered. There's the corner where the ghost of Christmas present sat. There are the windows where I saw the wandering spirits. It's all right. It's all true. It all happened. been among the spirits. I don't know what day of the month it is. I don't know anything. I'm quite the baby. Never mind. I'd rather be a baby. I'd rather be a baby. I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. Merry Christmas to everyone and Happy New Year to all the world! What day is it? What day is it, my fine fellow?
Today? Why, it's Christmas Day.
It's Christmas. The spirits have done it all in one night. Well, they can do anything they like. Of course they can. Of course they can. My fine fellow, do you know the poulterers on the next street but one, at the corner?
I should hope I did.
An intelligent boy, a remarkable boy. Do you know if they've sold the prize turkey hanging up there? Not this little prize turkey, the big one.
What? The one as big as me?
What a remarkable boy. It's a pleasure to talk to him. Yes, my buck.
It's hanging there, right now.
Is it? Is it? Go and buy it.
Walker.
No. I am in earnest. Go and buy it, and tell them to bring it back here so that I may give them direction on where to take it. Come back with the man, and I'll give you a shilling. Come back to the man in 5 minutes, and I'll give you half a crown.
What if I should bring it myself?
What an industrious boy! Should you come back with the turkey in that same time, I'll give you a crown.
Yes, sir.
I'll send it to Bob Cratchit. He shan't know who sent it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. Joe Miller, the greatest actor in the world, never made such a joke as sending it to Bob's will be. Here's the turkey. Merry Christmas. You'll never be able to get that to Camden Town. It's impossible. You must have a cab.
He dressed himself all in his best, and at last got out into the streets, walking with his hands behind him. Scrooge regarded everyone with a delighted smile. He had not gone far when he beheld the portly gentleman who had walked into his counting house the day before and said, "Scrooge Marley's, I believe." It sent a pang across his heart to think how this old gentleman would look upon him when they met, but he knew the path that lay straight before him, and he took it.
My dear sir, how do you do? I hope you succeeded yesterday. It was very kind of you. A very Merry Christmas, sir.
Mr. Scrooge?
Yes, that is my name, and I fear it may not be pleasant to you. Allow me to ask your pardon, and would you do me the goodness of...
Lord bless me, Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?
If you please, not a farthing less. There are a great deal many back payments to that, I assure you. Will you do me that favor?
My dear Mr. Scrooge, I don't know what to say.
Don't say anything. Come and see me. Will you come and see me?
I will.
I am much obliged. Thank you. I thank you 50 times. Bless you. Is your master at home, my dear?
Yes, sir.
Where is he, my love?
In the dining room, along with Mistress. Can I show you upstairs?
Thank ye. He knows me. I'll go in there. Fred!
Bless my soul, who's that?
It is I, your Uncle Scrooge. I've come to dinner. Will you let me in, Fred?
Uncle Scrooge, I should first like you to meet my wife.
Delighted to have finally met you, Uncle.
My dear, not nearly as delighted as I am to be in your company on Christmas.
Let him in. It's a mercy they didn't shake his arm off. He was at home in 5 minutes. Nothing could be heartier. His niece looked just the same. So did Chopper when he came. So did her sister when she came. So did everyone when they came. Wonderful party, wonderful games, wonderful unanimity, wonderful happiness.
The next day, Scrooge returned to his office with a new purpose.
What do you mean by coming in here at this time of day?
I'm very sorry, sir. I'm behind my time.
You are? Yes, I believe you are. Step right this way, sir, if you please.
It's just once a year, sir. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir.
I tell you what, my friend, I'm not going to stand for this sort of thing any longer. And therefore, I am about to raise your salary. Merry Christmas, Bob. A merrier Christmas, my fine fellow, than I have given you in many a year. Yes, yes, I'll raise your salary. And I will endeavor to help that struggling family of yours. And we will discuss this very afternoon over a Christmas bowl of smoking bishop. Make up the fires and buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh. For he was wise enough to know that nothing ever happened on this world for good, at which some people did not have their fill of laughter in the outset. And knowing that such as these would be blind anyway, he thought it quite as well that they should wrinkle up their eyes and grins. His own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him.
He had no further intercourse with spirits, but kept to the total abstinence principle ever after. And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive had the knowledge. May that be said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed this special broadcast of A Christmas Carol. We've posted more details about this production on our Facebook page. Stay in touch with us by visiting our page and checking out our new Instagram and YouTube channels. Our next audio broadcast will be an original, exclusive Park Players radio drama presented next February, entitled Babe and Mo in Japan. The Park Players, who will be celebrating our 60th anniversary next year, are always looking for people who would like to participate in theatrical productions, live or online. If you would like to join us, contact us through our email, parkplayersgpk@gmail.com, or send us a message through our Facebook page. Whether it's onstage, backstage, audio or video editing, technical support, concessions, or set construction, we would love to have you join us. Stay safe and have a wonderful holiday season.